Welcome back. Thanks for joining me in part two. This is part two of the Harry Potter outfit, baby outfit. This part is going to be doing our Nimbus 2000. I'm using a 3mm hook, and I'm using a 4-ply yarn, but it's wool. So the wool always, and you guys have been doing crochet enough, you guys will know, sometimes a 4-ply really crochets out to be a 3-ply in sizing. So even if you guys are using a 4-ply, use a 3mm hook. This is amigurumi, which is where we create objects or stuffed animals out of the yarn. So you're also going to need some stuffing. And I want to apologize ahead. I have all this glue stuck on me, and by the end of this video, you'll know why, because I didn't wear any dang gloves. But anyway, okay, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to chain 11. In the second chain from the hook, we are going to do 9 single crochets. So when you're doing a project like this, you want good tension. You want your project to be tight so that when you stuff it, the stuffing is not coming through. That's why we use such a small hook. The last chain, we want to place 3 single crochets and come wrapping around to the other side. Try to tuck in your tail if you can. It always helps to tuck whenever you can tuck. And now we're going to do 8 single crochets up the side. So I don't crochet my tail all the way in. I just bring it down and then I leave it sticking out, and I'll show you here in just a minute why. Okay, there's our 8 single crochets. And then in our final stitch down here with our chain 1 stitch that's coming up, we're going to go ahead and do 3 single crochets once again. Okay. So now I can flip this over and I'll pull this really tight, not really tight, taut, better way to say it. And then I can pull it back and it'll just suck right in there. Now in this, we are going to be crocheting in the round. So you are going to want to go ahead and get a stitch marker. And now we are going to single crochet all the way around 23 stitches. And because we're not increasing in the round, this is going to want to curl in or out, right? Whichever direction it's going to start in, but then we're going to flip it so that we don't have any, so it's going the direction that we want it to be going. And this is the butt part of the broom without the bristles is where we're starting. I don't know if you would call it the butt. Like, I think of it as like the butt of a gun, I guess, that goes up against your shoulder, if that's even what it's called. Maybe I just like saying butt. I don't know. Okay. Sorry. Crack myself up sometimes. And 10 and 11. Very nice. Now we can go ahead and flip these tight little corners so that, there we go. So we're like this. Okay, let's move our stitch marker. And now we're going to do 9 single crochets. Eight and 9. Then we want to go ahead and decrease twice. Let's do an invisible decrease if you guys can. Anytime you guys are doing amigurumi, you want to do an invisible decrease if you possibly can. It's just going to make your project look so much sharper. Okay, second decrease. Now we're going to do 11 single crochets back up to the stitch marker. And I got 9, 10, whoops, and 11. Okay, very nice. We should be curling up. We have a pointy part and a rounding part. Now we're going to go ahead and single crochet around, and we should have 22 stitches. This thing's getting a little weird on me here. $20, $21, and $22. All right. And again, let's do 9 single crochets. And here's 8 and 9. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to decrease 2 times again on this round. So there's 1 decrease, front loop, and 2 decrease. And now we'll do 9 single crochets back up to the stitch marker. Oh, I'm stuck. There we are. I'm on 8 and 9. Okay, and now we will single crochet all the way around, and we should be at 20 single crochets. That's 18, 19, and 20. Good job. I hope you guys are all on track, and we kind of look like this. All right, now we're going to do 8 single crochets. Okay, that's 7 and 8. Once again, 2 decreases at the end. There's 1, front loop, and 2. And 8 single crochets to finish off the round. And 8. Yay! Okay, now we get a single crochet around 18 stitches. It should be getting a little easier now that you have a little bit more to hold on to. There we go. Okay, and we're back at the beginning. Okay, this is our last reducing round for quite a while. So we're going to do 7 single crochets. All right, and you guessed it, 2 decreases. Let me just check this. That's what I thought. Because my decreases weren't landing on the 2 sides of this very center, so I knew something was up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. If you had noticed, we were reducing, like, from the very point, we were reducing 2 on each side of that, and I could tell that I was off there. It is really, really hard to count and talk, by the way. If any of you guys have ever tried it, doesn't work so well. Okay, and then 7 single crochets back up to the top. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to do a round of, we're actually going to do 30 rows now. 30, yes, I said it, 30. 30 rows of 16 stitches. So right now, we're going to go around and we are going to make sure, no matter what, that we have 16 stitches and that everything is going to be good to go and copacetic before we get too crazy. So let's go ahead and do that. Oops. $15 and $16. One of our accounts should be on. If it is not, decrease, invisible decrease, or do an increase down here to get us to 16 stitches. So you are going to want to stuff while you go. It's important to do that because you're not going to be able to get that stuffing down there once this thing is like this long. So, and believe it or not, it's actually easier to do amigurumi when it's stuffed. It gives you a little bit of pressure. So when we use our stuffing, if you guys have not done it or don't know the trick, we always want to pull this apart. The yarn itself, what we create, has a shape, and it's going to hold that shape unless we have a big knot or a wad of stuffing in there. Then it is not, that stuffing is not going to break down if we didn't pull it, rip it apart like we just did. And we're going to go ahead and stuff. We want to stuff this firmly. What you don't want to see is the stuffing coming through the stitches at all. So we shouldn't see any white poking out of here. But we also don't want any leeway in the yarn itself. So we want it to be nice and firm. See that? What you also don't want to do is don't stuff it too high to the top right here because you don't want your hook to be catching it. And then you get all those little buggers that come out, and then you got to go back and trim them and pray to God that you don't accidentally cut your yarn. All right, so that was row 1 of 30. So what your best bet to do is to put that stitch marker in and don't move that stitch marker. And just keep crocheting and crocheting and crocheting and crocheting and crocheting. And then once you think you've got close to the right amount, or even let's say 15, then what you can do is take another stitch marker and put it on that 15th row. You do not want to move this over and over again because if you miscount, you move this, you cannot go back and count your rows. You're not positive how much you've already done. This way, this ensures that this is row 1. And we know it's row 1. It will always stay row 1, even if we have a stitch marker all the way up here. And we can move that stitch marker if we want. We don't have to use a stitch counter this way because we've just left this. We can just look back down and count how many rows we have. And if you want to mark every 10, or you want to mark it when you hit 20 and you're like, ooh, almost there, that's how you guys want to do that. And in the meantime, while you're going around 16 single crochets, 30 rows, we just did row 1, is that, I don't know, I lost my train of thought. Oh, you don't have to even count your stitches anymore. As long as we're not reducing, we're not trying to find something that's hidden somewhere, or am I crocheting into the chain 1 space or anything. As you can see, all I'm going to do is I am just going to keep moving and moving and moving and moving. I will just place a stitch over this stitch marker, the top right here. And we're going to just keep going. So now you can just watch a movie or, you know, listen to your favorite podcast or something while you're doing all these rows so that we can make this really long. So this needs to be made like this much, right? 30 rows is a lot of doing this around and around and around. So try to find something that's more interesting to focus on. And again, don't spend all your time counting. I'm going to jump back in every so often to let you guys see my progress and kind of look at where we're at. Maybe about halfway mark or something. So if you guys want to keep playing the video up until I say, okay, we're doing a different stitch count, then that's, you're more than welcome to do that. That way you can be proactive. Okay, so at this point, you guys are on your own for a while. Good luck, and don't forget to keep stuffing. All right, see you guys here in a while. Okay, so I made it 15 rounds, and here's how we're looking. So something I want you guys to be aware of, okay, and we'll do this one more time before we start moving on, is that when you crochet like this in the round, your stitches will always roll to the right. So as you can see, if you can see this line, here's where that stitch was. Sorry about that. Phone ring. Okay, so they all roll to the right. So if you can see this and follow where your stitch marker is, and you need to follow that up in this diagonal form so that when you start your round again and we start moving on the rest of the pattern, you don't line up right here and then the rest of your broom is crooked. So this is easy to do like this, but you have to always remember. So we're going to follow this up, this little indent here, all the way up. So right here is actually where I would be starting my 16th round. Do you see how that's moved over from straight from the back? So that's just something I want you guys to be aware of and make sure that you adapt to so that your broom doesn't end up being crooked. And I've been stuffing. See, now some of you can just push that down with your, if you overstuff a little bit, push that down with your finger while you're going around until it's out of your way, instead of pulling it back out. You try to understuff a little bit. Sometimes it just doesn't always work. Okay, so that's 15 rounds. And now we have 15 more to go. It is not going to make a difference if you're over one or under one. Don't sweat that. Like, did I move my stitch marker up the first round? Is that it's okay. It doesn't matter. So again, I'm going to see you guys here in a while after you get 15 more rounds done. All right, see you then. Okay, happy to see you guys back. Look at that. So we did our other 15 rows. And you should actually, your last stitch should be right at the tip, right here. Let me pull this up now that we're not needing to be so. See how that stitch is right here? And you know that you're right because you can follow this stitch all the way up to right there. Absolutely perfect. That's where we should be. So now, and we've got a nice, we're stuffed nice. Make sure you kind of work it a little bit. You don't want any one real hard piece in there. And now we're going to go ahead and move forward. We can get rid of our temporary stitch marker and pull our actual stitch marker out and move on to our next step. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and do a decrease. Okay. And then let's do 5 single crochets. Let's do 2 increases. So that's 2 single crochets in the same stitch. There's 1 and then another one. We've got 2 increases, 5 single crochets, you should have 2 stitches left, and we're going to go ahead and decrease. Okay, very good. Now we're going to do 16 single crochets around. $13, 14, 15, and 16. All right. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and do a decrease again. Five single crochets. Two increases. One, two, five single crochets. And a decrease in the last two. And 16 single crochets. And 14, 15, and 16. Then we're going to repeat what we had just been doing. So decrease, five single crochets, two increases, five single crochets, and a decrease. All right, so we still have 16 stitches no matter what. So, okay, so this is going to give you guys kind of an idea of size-wise where we're at with the 4-ply. And then, it, like I said, it's a 4-ply wool, so it's not, but it plays like a 3-ply. See the size difference, even though the package itself is saying it's a 4-ply. But that kind of gives you guys an idea on that. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to do 8 rows of 16 stitches, and then we're going to go ahead and make one more adjustment, and then we'll do some more rows. So I will see you guys back here after you have completed 8 rows of these 16 single crochets. Good luck. All right, we made it 8 rounds, and like always, remember we come at an angle here. We're almost getting there, guys. Good job, good job. Okay, so let's go ahead now and let's do an increase and 5 single crochets. Two decreases. We just kind of flipped it around, didn't we? Okay, and now we're going to do 5 single crochets. Five. We should have 1 stitch left, and we're going to do an increase. And we still have 16 stitches. Now we have to do 9 rows of 16 single crochets. And then we actually are able to close this bad boy up and move on to our bristles of our broom. And I will meet you guys back here in 9 rounds of 16 single crochets. All right, guys, we did it. We've made it around. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do 8 decreases. Now this, you guys can go ahead and do a standard decrease because we're actually just totally getting rid of this end. So no need to do the invisible decrease right now. And then what we're going to end up doing is cutting our yarn and then going ahead and using our needle. And we will weave. Okay, go ahead and pull that out. And our top. So we're going to do it again. We're just, this time let's do front loop only. And we're just going to go through each stitch in the front loop only. Okay. And then we can just pull it tight and it's gonna look at that. Woohoo! That looks great, right? And then go ahead and weave this in, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about doing our bristles here, okay? Okay, so we are gonna do the same kind of a thing that we did for the fringe on the scarf. We need, let's see, like 24 of these. We're going to trim these. These are still going to be long. So do that in half. So let's just say 12. No, 24. And you may not use them all, but sometimes it's just better to have it done, right? Okay, and then we're going to cut it in half. There we go. Pieces go. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and take these ends. Now you can do a contrasting color or the same color, whatever you feel like you would like to do. There's 16 stitches out here and 8 stitches in here. So we just want to go ahead and attach. It doesn't matter really where you attach it. I would try to stay back behind this last full row, and you can connect them anywhere you want. We just want to get some bristles going on the broom. And now remember, we reduce, so it's going to be tight. And again, we are going to trim it. So just go ahead and go around. Again, try to stay the same direction and get these in here. And then I'm going to meet you guys back here once you guys are done with getting some of your fringe on for your broom. I don't know if you want to call it fringe or bristles. Get bristles on. There we go. All right, see you in a little bit. Okay, we're looking a lot better now, aren't we? Okay, so there's a couple things. You can either just right now go ahead and trim this up straight, and then go ahead and take a brush, or you can use your fingernail if you want, and fray this out just a little bit. Now, something that I did kind of new was I ended up turning mine into my first one, into really looking like the nimbus, where it comes to this point right here. So what I did was I just found a piece of foam, and what I ended up doing was I glued it in here like this, just so it had some girth in there. And then I brought this around like this. And then what you can do is you can use glue. Now, if you don't have glue, this really isn't going to work so well. But that is what I was telling you before that I kind of messed up on, because I did not put my glove on and my hands got all sticky. So let me get myself all ready here and I'll get back on. Hold on, let me get my glove on. Okay, and I also took some like gold colored yarn, and I went ahead and just chained, and I ended up chaining 12, and that kind of covered up where we reduced and connected these two. And then I just took it and weaved the ends in. And so from what you can do here is, let me get something I don't mind dripping on. Now something else you guys need to remember though, is that this glue is going to have a little bit of a different coloring to it. So make sure that you test it on the yarn that you're using for your broom bottom. And we're just going to kind of weave that in, and we're going to prop that up and let that dry. And then we can come back and trim it. And it really looks a lot more like the nimbus than when it is when it's all frayed out. But this is definitely all extra stuff. I'm just saying it's a lot of extra that really isn't necessary if it is something that you did not want to do. So from that point, we're done. Like I said, I chained 12 there. I'm working on the new one, is drying as we speak. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today, and I hope you check out the other videos. I do have the videos to the sorting hat, which is also, if you pick up the pattern at Etsy, is in there. But the sorting hat is very difficult. It is, it's a hard 6 hours, that's for sure. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys so much. And like always, please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, take care.